Hello and welcome. Today feminists in Sweden puts on hijab in hope of doing more business with Iran. Okay, just from this title this sounds stupid beyond belief. How is putting on an oppressive dress going to help do business with a country? The article reads, Sweden's government takes great pride in being the world's first to have adopted an overtly feminist stance. So that is why there is so much rape culture in Sweden, and that's why it's the rape capital of the West. Jesus Christ, appeasing to a culture that limits what women can do is not going to help women to be equal to men. It will just increase the chances of rape, like the 3 men arrested for the Facebook Live rape, and half of Swedish women are afraid to go out after dark, just proves that there is an issue with rape in the country. Anyway, last weekend, an imposing Swedish delegation, which was led by Prime Minister Stefan Löfven and included high-ranking representatives of Swedish industry, visited Iran with the double goal of boosting economic ties with the Islamic Republic and taking a stand for human rights. Good luck with the human rights with Iran, where it is illegal to remove the burqa from women in public. The two countries pledged to cooperate in areas such as science and technology, education, research, transport and telecommunications. Needless to say, it all had a price to pay, as Sweden ostensibly had to dampen some of its criticism of Iran's human rights record and treatment of women. Well, that goes to show that Iran does not give a fuck for human rights or women. I guess you cannot really change an Islamic culture, as in the next paragraph. Remarkably, when the Swedish delegation landed on Iranian soil, all the Swedish women put on Muslim veils in order to comply with the strict religious rules of the theocracy. Swedish Trade Minister Ann Linde, who had previously earned a reputation as a campaigner for women's rights, was seen wearing Islamic garments during her meetings with Iranian officials. I guess it is a good way to hide some emotions. One thing which this article has right is the following: the Islamic veil symbolizes the oppression of women in Iran, and constitutes not only customary, but legislated oppression of women. It is very unfortunate that the Swedish minister chose to appear in a veil. It's almost a breakdown of what is being described a feminist foreign policy, the Liberals leader Jan Björklund told the Swedish tabloid newspaper Aftonbladet. But the problem with Ann Linde is that she says she is for women's rights but is not going to violate Iranian law, which does to show that she doesn't care for women in other countries. Just in Sweden, Ann Linde defended herself by stating that she was unwilling to violate Iranian law. In Iran, it has been compulsory for women to wear headdress in public since the 1979 revolution. Iranian women are fighting for their right not to wear the veil. Then feminist government representatives pop in, all veil-dressed, and instead of making a stand tells them to accept it. Amina Kakabaveh of the Swedish Left Party told Aftonbladet, "I am upset and angry. It all should have been so obvious for a feminist government, but instead it acts just like any other." Amina Kakabaveh argued. I could not disagree with Amina Kakabaveh. The left do not care for other women in an Islamic country because they are too busy applauding and whatever stupid shit the left does for Islam. I found this article called "Quitting My Job Made Me Feel Like a Failed Feminist." She explains that she got her dream job, then explains it was the first time I'd gone back to full-time work after having my daughter. I'd worked part-time, and written a book in the 2.5 years since she was born. Well, good for you for having a child and not going out aborting her, and good on you for working at the same time. It was probably hard to do so. Like so many online dating profiles, my job was perfect on paper, but not in real life. I reported to demagogues who were inflexible and demanding, to say the very least. I found myself going completely AWOL, both to the people in my life and to myself. Well, fuck, your boss seems like an asshole, and is taking a toll on your life. The job drained everything from me, like a teenager squeezing the last of a goon bag into his mouth. Oh my fucking god, how dare you presume a teenager's gender, lol. But seriously, it seems like your job sucks balls. On top of all of this, I felt terribly guilty for not being with my child, who I missed in a way I hadn't really fathomed before. Oh well, if you talk to any other feminist, they would have told you to abort that child, but I guess it's a girl, so I guess later on in your pregnancy they would have told you to keep it, but they couldn't be fucked to support you at all, that's too much effort. So one day late last year, when I tried to address some of these things with my boss, and she told me that I didn't have a job, I had a lifestyle, I quit. Well, good for you, although you probably need to get a job to support your child. But I also felt like a failure. I felt like a failed feminist. Wasn't quitting the easy way out? Wasn't I, as a feminist, meant to be able to handle my job and my child? Wasn't I meant to love working? Wasn't I meant to lean in, and have a seat at the table? Yes, you are a failure to modern feminism, but by God, loving your child is pretty fucking important, but also a job is important, but a good question is, are you married or have a partner with you? If not, you are a terrible person and should get a partner so that you are more financially stable. By quitting work, I felt adrift and undefined. Oh my God, seriously, that is probably why you should get another job. I studied hard. I worked hard at every job I've ever had. I chose a real partner. Oh, you do have a partner, that is good, but life is hard. If anyone told you that it was easy, they are a terrible human being. We're among the first generations of women who've truly had a choice about staying at home with our children and heading back to work, but often the choice is a hollow one. Yes, we can go back to work, but at what cost, to ourselves, to our careers? Well, having a child is a choice, keeping the child is a choice, you have to choose what you do in your life. If anyone tells you what to do constantly, then you have no choice and are not living in a free country. Until every employer realizes that it's perfectly acceptable, and not perfectly audacious, to have a job and a family, women will still bear the brunt of feeling crazy, busy and guilty. And that's not good enough. Well, it is not the employer's fault for what their staff do outside of work, and to blame them for you having sex and having a child is like blaming another country for a country's faults. You chose to have a child and no one forced you to. If anyone did, then you the right to charge them. Why? Because it's rape and you should report that shit. It is a criminal charge in the West and you do not get stoned to death. If we go to some of the comments, some of them are quite realistic, such as I felt like a failed feminist. Oh please, it was a crap job not meant for you. Did you seriously think over all those months in a feminist mindset and how you were letting yourself down as well as the movement? For if you were, there lies the inherent problem. That is our two stories today, and hope to see you next time. Please